Okay, and now we'll start to get down to it here. We'll start the timer, and then we'll start the recording. Are you ready, Freddie?
Good.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
All right, good afternoon.
Oh, hang on a sec. No, I'd...
All right, do you want to stop that, the video?
Oh, no, we'll just keep that going. Right?
No.
Okay, ready? And so, I'll start recording.
Good afternoon.
Loving that Bill Brennan theme, hey?
Lovely like always.
Woo! Okay.
All right, good afternoon.
Here we are, Thursday Comics on a
Right.
Sunday.
So, naturally we are delayed because of the whole incident we won't go into huge detail about. There's no sense talking about that.
With your fabulous hosts, Dennis Osbourne.
And the immortal.
Wallace Ryan.
There you go.
Hopefully
immortal.
In this day and age of the COVID.
So we're a bit late recording this one for obvious reasons.
Yeah. I think everyone... actually, it's one of the few times that you don't have to give an excuse because everyone knows.
Everyone knows. So, but we thought we'd have a little bit of fun. YouTube crowd. A little bit of fun in a serious, dark situation. And we thought we'd talk about post-apocalyptic comics.
Oh, yeah.
So just our... No real list or anything. Just some of our favorites and some that stand out. And have a quick chat about them. We're not going to do a super long YouTube video podcast. We're going to keep it to about a half hour.
Yeah.
We don't want to be overloading people. We don't want to be cooped up with each other all the time.
Yeah.
There's only so much of that we can take.
Well, exactly.
So
in this day of social
distancing,
right? I mean, this is
good. Yeah.
This is good distance, right?
We'll do that, and then we'll talk about a couple of topics, with the COVID-19 stuff and the comic industry itself, and supporting people, and what to do, and some tips and everything. So we'll talk about that after our discussion on the end of the world.
Yes, exactly, and we were even talking about maybe having our giant size editions as sort of special add-along ones, but every maybe once a month, something like that. Just to let you folks out there know, in case you're wondering what's wrong with the boss.
I mean, it's not like we can't talk for an hour or so.
No.
It's rather easy. So
we could talk for 6 hours.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, if we get a special idea, special topic that we can just ramble about, we maybe do a giant size edition.
Oh yeah. I think that'd be cool. All right.
So we'll jump right in it. Do you want to start with one of your favorites?
Oh yes, for post-apocalyptic, I guess it's one that I know is on both of our lists and came right to mind immediately was Jack Kirby's Commandy. To me, one of the finest post-apocalyptic comics, one of his most successful at DC, actually. When I think about it, in 38, wasn't it? I think he did, or whatever. Anyway, definitely longer than any of the Fourth World and any of the other ones. I mean, there were 12 Demon or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, I love Commandy. I mean, there were a lot of people. That's just Planet of the Apes, where other animals thrown in. It's just like, well, Kirby did a story, and I found it. I call it Proto Commandy, and it has that same thing from a DC story he did years ago with in the 50s, whatever. So it's just like, and I checked the date, it was even before the novel Planet of the Apes came out. So it's just like, okay, come on guys, he's clearly a genius, right? Shut the hell up, right?
I remember a quick little story. There was someone selling a bunch of vintage comics. Going around, and I went and I picked out a bunch. And I was searching for certain ones, and I hauled out 3 that I wanted to buy, of like a list of tons and tons of key issues. I hauled out Commandy #1, Mr. Miracle #1, and the first appearance of Bawana Beast.
Oh yeah, okay. Oh yes.
And the guy looked at me and he's like, "You have the weirdest taste in comics I've ever seen. You have like a escape artist." Almost sci-fi aspect to it. And then Commandy, which is like sci-fi, stuff like this. And then you have a random jungle character.
Yeah,
I was like,
pieces. You're like, what the hell?
You know what I like, right?
Well, exactly, right? It's the same with myself with a good duck comic, right? I know that some of the guys at the Jam may laugh at me and all that, but they can go duck themselves, right?
Oh.
Right. So what do you got there?
I just got a general guideline. So I just got X-Men here.
Okay.
Because they have many post-apocalyptic stories. Because, apocalypse.
Right? But Days of Future Past, do you think that's
probably considered one of the greatest comic stories of all time.
Yeah.
But for superhero comics, it's probably...
And for X-Men in particular, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's probably the best post-apocalyptic superhero story.
Yeah.
Easily the most well-known.
Yeah. Well, I like what they're doing in the new one in terms of going to the future in House of X and Powers of X. I like the...
He goes through the past, the present, and then the future.
I kind of like that. That was actually pretty cool.
Well, and even with Age of Apocalypse, which is kind of an alternate future.
Okay,
from the 90s. Yeah. But again, that was when Professor X died and Apocalypse took over, and it's a post-apocalyptic or current apocalyptic, because Apocalypse is the villain. It's very weird. But the funny thing with the X-Men is with all their futures, the X-Men are doomed.
Yeah.
No matter
you get screwed whichever way you're going. There's no happy ending.
Future story for the X-Men. They are all post-apocalyptic and grim and dreary. And,
yeah.
And that's interesting.
It's funny that as soon as you put it that way, it's just like, that's kind of depressing. Right?
No matter what, any alternate future, mutants are doomed to fail.
Yeah.
It's basically, and it's depressing, but they keep doing different ways of doing spins of it and everything. Well, and it started with Days of Future Past, and it was only 2 issues. Now they've expanded upon it with multiple miniseries and spin-offs, and there was a Days of Future Present series a few years ago.
Yeah, and wasn't there a set of annuals during the 90s?
During the 90s.
Yeah. Days of Future Present, maybe, or...
There was Days of Future Past a few years ago, with covers by Art Adams. Yeah, Days of Future Present had Ahab.
Yeah, that's
as
the one.
the villain. So
yeah,
and I think that was, I don't know. Gambit was introduced then, but I think like Rachel Summers was a key part of that one, if I remember.
Yeah.
But to keep going back a bit, but those 2 issues still stand the test of time as one of the best superhero post-apocalyptic stories.
Yeah, great.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's post-apocalyptic done right.
Yeah.
For myself now, I got the Atomic Knights.
Okay.
That was the classic apocalyptic series from. It was Kanagar and Anderson, was it? I think, or was it Broom? It was actually Broom. Yeah, John Broom and Murphy Anderson. It was cool. It was knights, these knights of old, romping through the post-apocalyptic landscape, and I think a sister title to that, because they actually appear in it, and which is coming out in a hardcover soon, is the Hercules Unbound from the 70s.
Right.
Which was a great series. I mean, it had a lot of great Wally Wood artwork in it, and some Walt Simonson artwork. The last 2 issues of the series were out and out Walt inking himself too.
Okay.
Because he had, I think, Bob Layton inking them. I think one of the issues, even Wally Wood may have inked him, if I'm not correct. And so I'm dying for that book, because I loved it and he has a kick-ass costume in the last episode that just I don't know, makes him look like a I don't know, it makes him look like a I don't know, some kind of hustler, or it makes him look like a post-apocalyptic pimp, right?
I found funny that we were talking briefly about some comics, and you mentioned this one, the Hercules one. I was like, "Is this collected?" And you're like, "I don't think so." And then I just happened to look, and it was just solicited.
Yeah.
Or just about to be solicited.
I love that too.
I was like, "Oh, that's coincidental."
Yeah. It's obviously the universe is listening to our podcast, right? Or the publishers, and if they're not, they should be. Right? What's on your list? Give us another one of yours.
I have probably one of the more influential. I have Akira.
Oh, okay. Akira, yes.
And that started like the Neo Tokyo, the post-apocalyptic, Neo cities.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 2 gangs running everything, and
you get to see the apocalypse in real time in that one
yeah.
too, which is, I mean, that was kind of cool thing about it. Commandy though that I liked was the mention of the Great Disaster. And it was always a mystery of what the Great Disaster was.
This book started with the Great Disaster.
Yeah,
You saw the giant explosion.
Yeah, but I like that. I meant to mention that about Commandy. That's one thing I kind of liked was that mystery thing. But yeah, with the care, it was pretty cut and dry,
right.
wasn't it? Right?
And I never understood because I never bought a whole bunch of manga or anything like this, or was really big into anime. But when a couple years ago the big box set came out,
yes,
and I picked that up, and I was reading it, and then I picked up the movie, and I watched the movie, and the movie is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you don't know how much cinema has ripped off Akira.
Yeah. That's true. That's true for sure, right?
And I mean, you can see some gifs online of called the Akira slide with the motorcycle.
Oh yeah,
and there's dozens of cartoons that have used that.
Yeah, and
everything from Star Wars to Batman the Animated Series. Robin did that.
Yeah, and let alone in live action movies, I've seen some framing and all that looks suspiciously like Otomo's work. It's just like, come on.
You could tell. So that'll be one of mine, and that was a recent pick for me because I never really understood the series. I was never into that genre. But when you start reading it, you start to appreciate it more. Yeah, which is nice. And yes, manga's still not my personal preference. No. But I appreciate that book now, just after learning more about it and the history of it.
Yeah, I'd read it, in the English version, and I also picked up the box sets, which of course is done in, even though it's English, it's done in manga, the backwards manga reading thing. So I read it backwards, as I like to call it, and it's weird when you're reading something like that because it does add. It's like you're reading it with a different part of your brain. Right. It's really weird to read it, but it still holds together.
It does.
And that box set, oh God, isn't that beautiful?
I know. All right, you have another one on yours?
Yes, I have. Well, of course. And now this is one, and I like to talk about this one as much as possible. Is Scurry? Okay. Now that's available only online, unfortunately. But I mean, it's a great comic, and once again it has that thing very Commandy-like in that you don't know, because it's just the animals and all that starting out and all that, and next thing they're in houses and it's only after a while that you're beginning to think, hold on a second, there's no humans here. And then as one of them they get out further and all that is just like, geez, this is just wreckage and houses. Yeah, I mean, things are still intact, right? But it's like a ghost planet. It's really straight, and I love that feeling too, right? There's a sense of menace slightly hanging in the background all the time, right? So any of you in there during this COVID time, go and help out Max Smith, who's churning out a great comic with Scurry. Right?
We just finished a Kickstarter for Volume 3.
Okay, think,
which you subscribe to, so you'll be getting that shortly, I think.
Yeah,
soon.
I can't wait to read.
You can go on his website and you can pick up Volumes 1 and 2 and support a local artist, which we'll talk about more at the end of this. Yeah. Another one for me, I got another 2-issue series. I got Hulk, Future Imperfect.
Okay, I like that. Good choice.
Still a famous Hulk story, but not really so well known anymore. It's kind of lost.
Yeah, it's been lost in the.
But you're going to see that again with the Peter David omnibus coming out, and it was mixed in, I think, with a Hulk the End hardcover. You can still buy the paperback with the 2 issues.
Yeah.
But it's one of those futures where, Hulk takes over the world.
Yeah. And why wouldn't he?
And he becomes the maestro.
Well, the X-Men could learn a lesson from him. Why? It's just like, why didn't the X-Men just say, okay, we're gonna finish off humanity and let's just repopulate. Let's just start all over again, right?
And it still has the reason it always resonates with me. It has that amazing George Perez art. Yes. And that double page splash when Rick Jones goes into the trophy room, and there's remnants of every single superhero, supervillain, And it's almost like a look and find book. You pick up stuff in the corner. There's things, rocks in a bucket.
Yeah.
And things like this. Yeah. And it's gorgeous. Yes. And it always resonates with me.
I forgot about that scene.
Yeah. It was always the background on my computer monitor for years, and one of my favorite scenes. And George Perez is good, known for his splash page art.
Yeah. And super detail.
And super detail. And that was one of my favorites, so.
Yeah. I like that one for sure. Another one, and funny enough, speaking of books coming to me through the Mutant World.
Okay.
The Rich Corbin book that just came out, of course. Was that a Kickstarter? I guess it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a Kickstarter.
It was a collection of his series, Mutant World, and Son of Mutant World. It's a pretty dismal and depressing story, but it's great all the same, right? Him and Jan Strode, is it? Or I'm always having to pronounce Strode. He even said it, because I have him friended on Facebook, and he even made a point of letting people know how to pronounce his name properly. But yeah, great series.
Another
great
series,
one. Yeah.
And you? Now, well, I'm going to just quickly mention it. I'm not even going into detail. Probably one of the most well-known ones now, Walking Dead.
Yes, yeah, I had that on my list too. It's the premier survival story. As a matter of fact, for those of you out there who are wondering what it's going to be like if COVID gets worse, read The Walking Dead, right? So someone in your neighborhood is going to be the governor.
So for the love of God, stay home, self-isolate, wash your hands.
Yeah, and watch out for those people who are buying baseball bats or barbed wire, right?
Now, I just wrote down one that I was thinking of, but I don't know much about it, but I think you do. I got Killraven.
Yeah, Killraven definitely is. Yeah, it's after the invasion and the world's gone to shit and
it just sat there on the bookshelf.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to write down Killraven.
And people are at each other's throats like any good post-apocalyptic story. Yeah, I never did think about that one. That one definitely flew over the head there for sure.
Yeah. So
I'll go for that.
You go that. So you have another one on your list?
Yes, and one of my favorite series of all time from the Legion of Superheroes, the 5 years later storyline, when when the entire Legion of Superheroes has gone to shit. They're it's just like all the fucking problems in the world that you can think of, they now got, right? But it was cool. It was like an adult Legion of Superheroes. Right. There was same-sex relationships in it. There was everything. It was just like, wow, this is really cool. This is really kicking it here. Now I know there were some people that were had coronaries when they read it, but it's just like, this is just. And what I think for those people, I hate to say it, but it's just like, yeah, maybe this is just a bit too advanced for you, right? Well, you should stick with your Kurt Swan, right? No, of course I love the Kurt Swan. Don't get me wrong, but and when I mentioned that to you, you mentioned quickly after I mentioned that was the Great Darkness saga. Yeah. And that does, I think that does come in, and that registers for sure.
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, a tyrant. It's a cliche post-apocalyptic story when a tyrant takes over the world.
Yeah, kind of like Trump now, right? Well, except he's really, really, really dim, right?
And orange.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's another one. I got one here. I don't know if it's post-apocalyptic or if it's sci-fi future. I got the Inkle.
Yeah,
The only reason I got... They never made mention to, I don't think, a big apocalyptic end of the day thing. But it's a grim, dark, it's a dirty future.
Yeah.
So, does that qualify? I mean, if you're listening to this on YouTube or on the podcast, I mean, we're going to post this on Facebook and everything, so make a comment.
Well, considering how it ends. Talk about meeting your maker.
Right? So, I mean, it could. Constitute? Yeah. I don't know, so.
Very cool choice, though. I like that choice.
I mean, apocalyptic it could not be a big, disastrous event. It could just be the
setting of it.
The fall of society.
Yeah. Well, I put in Fourth World for sort of similar reasons. It's not quite post-apocalyptic, but it's the start of the world going to hell, right? It's up to that point, the DC universe was nice and populated, and the worst you had to deal with was a Mazo or Brainiac,
right?
Go mad, or Luthor somehow crowdfunding an attack on Superman. But I mean, the fourth world with Darkseid. I mean, he is apocalyptic. Well, apocalypse itself.
Right.
You can't get
right.
any more. When I seen Apocalypse as a kid, it was just like, this must be what hell looks like, right?
I mean, and it's a giant war that's on the go. I mean,
yeah.
Most grim, gritty futures have to do with some sort of war,
yeah.
either after or during, and like the fall of everything. And I say it could qualify.
Yeah.
But again, it is vague. It doesn't have a big specific event that caused the downfall of everything, like one thing.
Yeah.
But it could be many occurrences that caused.
Yeah. Unless, there's the pact. I guess when the pact was voided, that was the start of. Well, that was the start of the restart of the war. Anyway,
right.
The War of the Gods, which was brought to our shores. Right. Okay, go. Your turn.
Like another loose apocalyptic. We just wrote down again. It could still qualify as that one. Say Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Again, not apocalyptic, big massive event.
Yeah.
But it's the crumbling and the fall of society.
Society, yeah, for sure, in a lot of ways. Yeah.
And like the crime was gone, the mutants were rising. It's like the crime was on the rise. Batman wasn't around.
Yeah. Society had gone to hell.
Right. Superman was working for the government.
Yeah.
Reagan was still in office.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So things like that could still qualify.
Yeah. No, I like that. Well, same too. You mentioned Watchmen. Too, and more as we're getting ready for it, and you talked about that. The more I thought about it, it's just like, that definitely
that is the build up of the Doomsday Clock. So it's the build up to a post-apocalyptic future.
Yeah.
Now, some person views, someone, a lot of people viewed it as the Doomsday Clock being the end. Osmandius obviously viewed it as an alternate view. He said it was necessary.
Yeah, and this is your future.
This is your future. So,
what about V for Vendetta? I guess in some ways, with the disease, the St. Mary's plague and all those. So I guess in some ways,
that could be.
Yeah, because it turns out to be a really dark dystopian.
Right.
I guess dystopian, apocalyptic go hand in hand too.
Apocalyptic sounds really like cataclysmic event-ish, and we're talking about just a crumbling society as a whole.
Yeah.
So I would say they all qualify.
Yeah. A dystopian apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Dysalyptic. And speaking of that, another dysalyptic one is one of my favorites from Kirby, OMAC.
There you go.
Now talk about the world that's coming. I mean, I can remember buying the first issue and seeing this weird guy with a mohawk throwing this box at you with a woman disassembled in it. Well, not a woman, obviously a robot, as it turns out. But I mean, that was such as a kid, it just blew my mind even looking at it. I had to put my fingers in my ears to stop my fucking brain from pouring out, right? But definitely. That's one of the granddaddies for sure, I would say. All right.
I'll add one more, and then I'll probably give you one more, and then we'll talk about one of our main topics we want to talk about. I don't have a specific comic, the specific incident, but one of my favorites growing up were the What If comics.
Okay.
They always, most of the stories, a lot of times led to the end of the world. It'll be, what if Dark Phoenix had lived?
Yeah.
And end of the world. What if Magneto took over the USA?
Yeah. End of the world.
End of the world.
Pretty easy storylines.
Right? They were really good at doing spins. Now, the other were lesser ones. What if Elektra had lived? What if Spider-Man's clone had lived?
Yeah.
In the Spider-Man world.
Well, no one would have cared.
Right? But
and Elektra did live, as we all found out later, right?
They were so good and fun with the end of the world stories.
Yeah.
Because that one little twist in a classic comic story would lead to the end of the world or the universe and something like that.
Yeah.
And there's too many of them on the list. What if comics ran forever?
Yeah. What about hate as an
right?
as a dystopian present, right? But no, I can.
Yeah.
I'm with you on
love
that.
those. They were my favorite because you always knew these key issues.
Yeah.
And then, well, what if Magneto controlled the USA?
Yeah.
Well, naturally, they're going to send nuclear bombs and missiles over to destroy the USA.
Yeah. Or what if Reed Richards had to drop the ultimate nullifier, right?
Right.
2-issue story, right in the back, right?
You do things like that, and I always love them. They're well worth. I always wish they would collect What If in omnibus.
Yeah.
Volume 1, then you can collect all of Volume 2.
Oh, there's one I forgot was Jim Starlin's The End.
Oh, yeah.
The Marvel. That's, I mean, boy, you can't get a much more post-apocalyptic than that, right? But I was gonna end off my list actually with one I almost forgot until the last second, but I think you brought this up before, was Why the Last Man.
Yeah.
And why not, eh?
Exactly.
But yeah.
Some people say that society was better.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because
but
there's
still,
no men.
Still, it was going to hell. Yeah. Well, okay. There was some good points too. Yeah.
And it was just the story of one guy going around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To say that could come across as really sexist.
Yeah.
Because there are some people's point of views, and they're like, no, this world was better, and they view that in the comic books. But it was you can probably agree it was a crumbling society.
Yeah.
That had to rebuild on its own.
Yeah.
And
considering that you only have one male.
One male going around, and
it's just like poor fella, or
right?
Luckiest guy on earth.
Well, it was either
what is it?
People want to use him to procreate,
yeah.
or they wanted to murder him.
Yeah.
There was no in between. So.
Yeah. Sounds like a Friday night for me.
Right? One or the other.
I'll take either.
But that was probably one of the most interesting stories, I gotta say. It lasted about 60 issues.
Yeah.
It had a conclusion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not going to spoil what happened in the series, but...
Everyone dies. No.
Well, it starts with everyone dying, well, half the population dying. But no, that was a fun little ride, that story was. So, a lot of people hated the ending. But no, each volume was...
Yeah, actually, I'm on the last volume myself. I only got about 5 or 6 issues left.
So we won't spoil it.
It's over there somewhere.
So.
Okay, now get down to the dirty business.
Right, because of everything that's on the go in the world. Firstly, we'll talk about, like, Free Comic Book Day was extended to Free Comic Book Month.
Yeah.
And that's to help out, it's not the world's cushiest industry to be in.
Yeah.
With comic books.
Yeah, and instead of supporting, people online who are just selling stuff from their home and all that or whatever, or from a warehouse or whatever, support the people who are actually putting their lives on the line by investing in a store where you can actually go.
Right.
To me, a comic book store is more than just a store. It's a center for the art form. It's an art gallery, really, for comics is what it is.
And comic books are escapism.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be stuck home for 14 days, reading's a good thing to...
What the fuck else are you going to do,
exactly,
right? There's only so much masturbation that can occur in this world, right?
So, contact your local comic shop. A lot of them would do curbside pickups.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
if you're uncomfortable.
Yeah, we just started that at Downtown Comics. I thought it was a cool thing. And we did a test. We took our Interact out onto the sidewalk and
it worked.
Put it through for $1 and it worked. Yeah.
So you can call them if they're still open.
Yeah.
Do a reserve list.
Yeah.
Guaranteed sales for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Do that. Make your purchases. Pick your purchases up on time.
Yeah.
Don't leave your comic books for months and months on end.
Yeah. And that's actually, we should do an issue, something about that, because the reserve list, is good for some people, but there are a lot of people out there, and I've seen it across North America, people complain